Pregame.com.
Miami of Florida at Duke. This is Saturday college basketball. Free pick from VR. Who do you like and why?
I love the under in this spot. We're looking at a total of 135.5. It's a 2-point adjustment from the first time they met. That total was 133.5. They played back in January, and a combined 153 points were scored. And I think that's why you're seeing the adjustment, but I don't think it's warranted.
Okay, so one of the things we talk about is where stats or what's observed can be a misperception. So you're saying big number put up between these teams initially. Why is that a misperception?
Here's the thing. Miami shot lights out, and it kind of just went from there. 90-plus points were scored in the second half, and they did it by shooting 57% field goals and 56% from the three-point line. And for this team, that's a rarity because they're 101st in college basketball in three-point field goal percentage. If they were a top 10, top 20 team, you could say, you know what, they hit lights out, they do it every night, but they don't. They're 101st in all of college basketball, and they shot 57%. And let's not forget, Duke, top 10 against the three-point shot.
Okay, so sometimes if you're looking at the shots in general, if a team's getting a lot of dunks, a lot of layups, they can shoot a high percentage and it be something that's not flukish, but rather they worked for it.
Right.
But when you look at threes, though, some threes can be more open than others. Understanding Duke's a good defensive team against the three, you've got to say that three-point percentage had some randomness in
Exactly, for sure. It definitely had randomness. And also, you got to remember that that's not the style that Miami's going to want to play when they go to Duke. Miami's a team that they're 14-1. It's being hyped as a revenge game. 14-1 in conference. It's being hyped as Duke's revenge, getting Miami at home. But we know Miami's going to be the ACC regular season champ. So for Duke, the revenge is going to have to come in the ACC tournament, not right now. Whether they beat Miami or not, they're not going to pass them in the conference standings.
What motivation do you expect from Duke? Because when I glanced at this game, my first thought was because of the revenge angle, and you might question how intense the revenge is. This is Duke.
Yeah.
They don't want to go 0-2 against Miami of Florida.
For sure.
I think increased intensity usually shows on the defensive side.
Agreed there, agreed. And also, Miami loves to walk the ball up. They're one of the slowest tempo teams in college basketball. And you're looking at a team that's got 4 seniors, 2 juniors. They get the most minutes. Even though Duke's going to want to push the ball, I think Miami's got the kind of composure where they're going to be able to slow the pace down to the way they want the game to be played. You're not going to run with Duke, not at Duke. You just can't beat them that way.
And I think a lot of college basketball totals is trying to assess the pace of the game. Who, in a way, who's going to control that pace. And in this case, you're saying Duke often at home controls it, causes its revenge. Maybe they're going to be a little more deliberate. Plus, Miami's good enough not to be overwhelmed and being forced to run.
Exactly, where they'll be able to dictate tempo when they're on offense.
Any points we haven't touched on?
No, just that when you look at the way these two teams match up, also, Miami has the size to compete with Duke, meaning they're going to want to post up.
Which are second chance points, too, is to keep them down.
Exactly. Unlike where when you look at the first game they played and you saw how they shot from the three-point line, you may think, you know, they're only a perimeter team. They can't compete underneath. That's what they're going to have to do. But nothing could be further from the truth. If you look at these two teams, the way they stack up, Miami's actually taller as far as size goes. They're starters. So they're going to look to post up against Duke.
All right, we've talked it through. Let's make it official.
Big game in ACC, Miami, Duke. First game we saw over 155, 160 points scored. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. The odds makers did adjust a little bit, raised the total up from 133.5, now up to 135.5. I think that line's going to continue to climb. Once the public gets involved on Saturday, they're going to look to bet this game over. I think you'll wait till before tip-off, come in on the under.
Did you have pierced ears at some point?
Yeah, both sides, you mean?
Yeah, both sides. No, how old were you when you pulled out the other one? Was that a tough decision?
It was, yeah. I contemplated it for a while.
We're going to dig into this more. But first up next, Kentucky, Arkansas, and I've got a free pick on it. You can get all of our videos and find out about Vegas Runner's ears and his piercings, pregame.tv.